it is very difficult as a business owner to not internalize the failures that come with entrepreneurship. I'm not a failure because this failed. Or I'm not a failure because a client is dissatisfied. Everybody ain't gonna like you, right? So I think just feeling the direct impact from your customer, there's such a detachment there when you work in corporate. You know, you work at Walmart, they flaming them in the reviews every day.
Right.
But you don't take that to heart.
Still got my check, though.
Still got my check.
I still got paid, so it is what it is.
So for me, I think just realizing like there is nobody here to help you. You gotta figure this out.
Good idea, now we buying merch. That's ghetto. Payment miss. Ooh, the ghetto. Say she quit. Ooh, the ghetto. Late on your rent. Rent is ghetto. New event. Ooh, the ghetto. Invoice in. That ain't ghetto. Money spin. Oh, that's ghetto. Hold on, it's kind of ghetto being a CEO.
What's up, coworker? Don't you want to link together and get a live podcast experience of this Ghetto CEO podcast? Wouldn't you love to see Kody on the couch and your favorite entrepreneurs here in Atlanta? Well, you got to tap in and come to our happy hour live podcast experience December 16th of this year. Yes, December 16th, 2023. We are doing a live Ghetto CEO podcast. And guess what, y'all? I'm bringing some of y'all to the couch. All you got to do is click the link below and you can either get your ticket or get on the wait list so that you can be able to get on this couch. Make your plans, grab your flights, get your rooms, because listen, the Ghetto CEO Live Podcast is not something that you want to miss. So December 16th, I want to see you guys there. Listen, last time we had the drinks flowing, we had the vibes going, we had a little dance, we had bars and all the things. So get in the room for the next Ghetto CEO Live Podcast, and I'll see you guys there. Now back to the episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Ghetto CEO Podcast, where we talk about all things being a CEO, because honestly, y'all, being a CEO is super ghetto. And today I got my co-host, Big Kody.
Bow, 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 bow. This when we play the young nudie. It come in right here. We gonna add it. Peaches and eggplants. Do. It come on right here.
Anyways, guys.
Gene, you heard me.
Yeah, anyways, so listen, we talk about all the things being a CEO, but if you love the Ghetto CEO podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because this is how we know he's doing a good job, okay? But listen, we bring CEOs to the couch that's coming to be honest and transparent about the stories. But this CEO that we got today is a unique relationship, because she's not only my friend, she also used to work here in my company, and she is also the CEO at her own company. So welcome, Khadijah.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you. I'm excited. I don't know. It just made me feel good. I gave myself a hand clap.
So I got a question.
What?
Why y'all fire me?
Cody.
Here you go.
Y'all thought I wouldn't go ass? Y'all thought I wouldn't go ass?
You was for real.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't fire you.
Okay.
I keep telling you fired yourself.
That's what the email said. That's not what happened.
Okay, then what happened?
Okay, so for y'all who don't know, I think we told a story on a Monday meeting, but for y'all who aren't aware, okay, originally in 2021, I was working on a sales team. I was a sales team.
You are still on the sales team.
No, we talking about originally 2021.
Okay.
We ain't talking about when I got rehired. We talking about when I got fired by y'all. And I just want to know who's the culprit. So I was sitting in Miami working. Now, disclaimer, maybe Monrae Kody was like alluding to like, hey, we really don't need you right now. You can go. But I just kept working because I'm like, it's working for me.
You had like 5 jobs, Kody.
It was working for me.
No, it wasn't.
Maybe not. So I'm sitting in Miami and I get an email from Monrae, and it was like, thank you so much. We accept your resignation effective this date. And I'm like, how you gonna fire me by me firing me and ain't even fired me?
Cody, you
HR,
you
did
fired
you
yourself.
approve of this decision?
Apparently, I did.
Well, that's just how it goes.
So, all right. So now I know y'all fired me.
Yes.
And it's I'm okay with it now.
Welcome back to the team.
I'm glad you healed
It
from
took
this.
time. It took time. Because I'm like, I ain't never been forced fired in my life. Like,
But it's okay. Sometimes,
Yes.
you know, I've seen situations where people leave and they come back better. Apparently, you've come back better.
Released to your destiny, and your destiny brought you back.
so wait, I didn't get released from my destiny if this was my destiny.
I think the jury is still out on that, Cody.
Okay, because I'm sorry, that was just my first question. It was on my heart.
Wow. Well, Khadijah, welcome to the podcast. Tell them who you are
Excited to be here.
and all the things.
Awesome. So I am Khadijah Parker. I'm the CEO and principal consultant at ATN HR Consulting Firm, where we provide fractional and comprehensive HR solutions to small businesses and entrepreneurs. So our primary goal is to help CEOs understand how their leadership impacts their team's productivity, performance, and ultimately profits through HR services.
Yes. Okay, so I love this, right? Because I love the growth. Yeah. Right?
I'm clapping again for myself, Kody.
Yeah. If you don't clap for yourself.
Look, if you ain't your own hype, man, who gonna do it?
Clearly not Kody.
Look, man, that caught me out. I don't even know what to do with my hands.
Oh, just sit on there.
Okay.
Yeah, you good. Cross your legs. So one thing, the reason why I say I love that is because I was here when this story first started, right?
Yes.
And so it has developed and grew to where you are today.
Well, I tell everybody there really is no ATN without Monrae. For real, right? Because I didn't. True story. Everyone. I actually got my start in business because Monrae was in her stories like we went to college together, and she's in her stories like I need to hire. I'm so stressed out, and at this time I was working in corporate. I actually was like thinking I was going to do something else. But I remember inboxing you and like, girl, I can help you out. You know what I mean? And then it was, after we did it, we hired the team. Yep. You saw some pretty rapid growth.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, you should do this, right?
Yes.
Like this is something, you got something here. So I don't know if I ever would have thought about being an HR consultant had you not planted that seed. True story. So here I am.
Yay.
3.5 years later.
Listen, and it has grown to something beautiful. You know what I mean? And
very ghetto and beautiful.
Ghetto and beautiful. Ghetto and beautiful. And I know like even because after that I was like, well, Khadijah, you not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stay handcuffed, okay? But it allowed you, what do you feel like you got while being within the company?
Oh man. Do we got enough time?
We got time. Kody,
oh man.
I got more questions.
Go ahead, Kody. I forgot this was your interview.
Oh yeah, this is my interview, but you go ahead, boo.
I think that what I got mostly by being with your company, I didn't realize until I was gone, if that makes any sense. Like while you're in it, you're not exactly sure of what those lessons look like. But for me, I can say there are many times, I don't always text you, where I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I see it. Like I feel it. Especially for me right now, I think I'm in such a transitional period. There comes a point where like, okay, I got a business, right? Until you're like, oh no, I'm running a business. Like I'm a CEO. Like I can't get so caught up in the weeds. My job is no longer to necessarily do the work, but to bring in the opportunities and to strategize on how we can serve our clients and our community. And I think, as I look back on my time with Rare Necessity, I vividly remember you too going through that phase. Like you may be over that hump now, but there's a point where you're wrestling with like, how much do I stay in? And how much is it my job to ensure that I'm bringing in talent that can execute on the vision?
Yes. And that's the hardest part, I think. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in the right people. But transparently, y'all, Khadijah literally witnessed me becoming the CEO I am today. And a lot of the things, even the strife and all those things, helped me become the version of the CEO you see today. But I'm sure Kody messy ass gonna get into it. But that allows. So I thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like in the moments we probably wasn't like, this is gonna be for our better good.
Oh my God, no.
it came out so Kody, you gotta.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh my goodness.
I hate that he's doing this.
But no, so here's my first question. So you were in corporate.
Yes.
And then you're like, all right, girl, you struggling with hiring people. I'm going to come over and help you. What was like the biggest difference you saw from like going from a established corporation to like a startup? What was the biggest culture shock? Like, oh shit, y'all don't even got this in place. Like, I'm freaking the hell out.
You know what? So I don't think I ever was really meant to like have a long-term corporate career. I was like, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur of some sorts. My educational background is in like PR, journalism. So I thought I was going to go that route until I realized that HR is really just internal PR. Cause I mean, come on, crisis management every single day of my life. But for me, I think that the biggest thing was like, oh, there really ain't nobody here to help you. So you have to strengthen your problem solving skills, like, right? Your ability to strategize, your ability to critically think, and then that bounce back because you're going to take some hits. And I think even now, one of the biggest lessons that I am learning, when I was in corporate, if something didn't go wrong or it didn't happen, it was like, well, it didn't happen, right? It is very difficult as a business owner to not internalize the failures that come with entrepreneurship. I'm not a failure because this failed, or I'm not a failure because a client is dissatisfied. Everybody ain't gonna like you, right? So I think just feeling the direct impact from your customer, there's such a detachment there when you work in corporate. You know, you work at Walmart, they flaming them in the reviews every day,
right?
But you don't take that to heart.
Still got my check though.
Still got my check.
I still got paid, so it is what it is.
So for me, I think just realizing like there is nobody here to help you. You gotta figure this out. And then just last but not least, I would say like if you don't work, you literally do not eat.
Yeah.
Until you've been in a position where it's like if I don't get up and do this, I ain't gonna have no money.
Yeah.
I can't pay my bills. Like I'm not gonna eat. And it gets even more complex when other people's paycheck is on your shoulders. Like how they gonna feed their family. So there's just a lot of like, oh my, like this is real.
Right.
This is real.
So y'all were going through the discovery of running a business together at that size, right? Because you had one employee, one in a possible, couple contractors, then Khadijah came, and it went from like one in a possible to like 10 people on staff. We bought an office, right? We renovated, we did all these great things, but then we had to hire a lot of people, okay?
A lot of people.
Now we just need a transparent moment. I ain't gotta say no names. I just want to know who was the worst hire that you guys collectively made. We ain't gotta say no names. Y'all just do the, y'all understand each other. Like who was like, yeah.
I got my first one. I ain't gonna say her name, but I'm thinking about the role in which they played. But I don't know. It was two.
So I'm eager to hear because I want to know if y'all talking about the same people.
That is crazy.
I think we had an admin once that was a very difficult hire. It wasn't because she innately was bad.
No, Khadijah and that girl did not like each other.
Not that one. The one before that one.
Oh, the one that know what the hell she was doing?
Oh shit, I don't remember.
Cause that babe was confused as hell.
I think we thinking about the same one.
Cause like she couldn't even buzz you in the goddamn door. We were just like, baby, it's one button.
No, she never made it to that location.
Okay, now I'm thinking about.
I don't think
we had 3.
Oh, the one I cried.
Yeah.
Now she
wasn't worse in a sense of like I think we really liked her. I just think in competency and being able to really do the job, she was a hard hire.
She was a hard hire and a hard fire. And I think people don't talk about that part of it. Like, even though she was really bad at the job. Khadijah, do you remember this? We was in the car on the way to go get food and we prayed about her. We was like, God.
And she old lady?
No,
old lady.
She was old. But like we prayed about her and we was like, God, because we had just listened to this sermon and we was like, God, she's supposed to stay. Have her say these exact words.
Yeah, and like she said them, which was crazy.
Yeah, I was like
she ended up coming and saying it.
I know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, she was. I won't say she was the worst, but I think in terms of skill set, I'm like, there was a huge gap there.
Yeah,
I think for me, one of the it was a couple like that marketing manager one time.
Yes, that was because then my my friend walked in. And it's like I thought that was a construction worker. I was like, that was bad. And then we had a project manager.
If you're watching this, we hope you found your fit.
Yes. Listen, we're gonna beep out anything we need to, but I mean we've had a couple of strange. And I tell people that all the time. You kind of like got to kiss some frogs to find your prince.
Yeah. I mean, I think with growing and scaling a business, what you need today may not be what you need next week. Like, I think that's the craziest part about it. But when you hire people, like you don't hire them for a week, right? Like you hire them for long term. And it is extremely difficult to find kind of like that unicorn, like who can almost like be very fluid as you twist and turn and change. And I think that was what we were really experiencing. I mean, just different offers, figuring out like how to best serve the community and what that looked like. And sometimes that shifted and changed exactly what that job was. And if you ain't got the person in the seat, but they already here, you almost trying to make them fit. And that's difficult to do.
And I think another part about it is, and this is a tip for all CEOs, right? I feel like I started to hire better people when I knew what I needed as a CEO.
Absolutely.
Because for so long, I hired people based off what the book said that these people needed. But when I realized how I worked and how, like, okay, y'all, I like to do stuff like this. Like, I need people that's more maybe strategic or more meticulous versus somebody that's more airy, right? Like, when I figured that out to work, especially if you work in my circle, then I was able to hire a little bit better, and we were able to make a little bit more better decisions about who belonged in the
Absolutely.
space. Yeah.
And I think that's a good point too, because even now, like, one thing about, I had to come to terms with what I'm not. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, entrepreneurship will show you who you are and who you ain't
not,
at the
real
same
quick.
time. And for me, like, I'm not a super organized person. I'm okay with saying that. I used to feel like, don't say that out loud. People not gonna want to work with you, but that is not true. I'm not color coding. I'm not gonna have an organized file system. My desktop is gonna be a mess. My desk is a mess. Like, I know me, right? So I knew that, like, people around me, like my admins or my operators, they have to be almost like machines with stuff. Like, they need an impeccable memory because I ain't got one. I forget, right? So I knew I needed to surround myself with people who could make up for where I lacked. Otherwise, I was not going to be successful. Yeah. Like, I know that.
So, and then with your background, obviously being in HR, and now, you know, stepping into the CEO seat, how are you navigating? Because there are times, like, I mean, it may not be HR appropriate, but you got to tell me, like, you got me fucked up. Like, that ain't, we ain't even to do this. Like, you know.
There's ways to say that without saying that. Like, example, I had somebody getting real spicy with me the other day. And I just let her know, I strongly urge you to consider how your tone is coming across and assess whether offense is needed in this situation or not.
I strongly urge
that.
Cody, next time.
I'm going to be like, you got me fucked. I mean, I strongly urge
you to stop fucking with me.
Yeah, basically. And I think she was picking up what I was putting down because the tone changed very quickly. So, yeah, because we're not doing that.
Right.
But I think the transition, to your point, in my company, I'm not HR. I'm a CEO.
Right.
Even though what we do is HR. Yeah. But with my team, I'm not your HR manager, right? But with the clients that I work with, I think my biggest struggle really isn't the team members that we support. I think just gaining the respect as a fellow business owner. When you're in a position where you are in almost a servant, we're here to serve, right? We serve in the type of roles that we are. It's easy to kind of fall back and let the clients, I guess, initiate how they want things to be done. But there are many times when I have to realize you hired me for my expertise. And if I let you drive the car, then I'm doing both of us a disservice.
Right.
It's not to say that I cannot take into consideration what you want or how you want this to go. But if you knew what you were doing, I would not be here.
Right.
If you were, capable of executing in this area of your business, I would not be here. So I think the biggest thing for me where you got me effed up is really just understanding, clients have to, or excuse me, having to let clients know and understand that there are boundaries here. I'm not here to answer you all hours of the day. Service providers, that's something that I think we get caught up in. Like, we want people to be happy. We want them to be satisfied. We almost kill ourselves sometimes trying to serve everybody in the way that they want to be served. But there has to be a standard, right? And there has to be a boundary. So I think that is more of where I come with that. But my team, like, I let them know I'm not your HR manager. I'm your leader. So sometimes that looks different.
Gotcha. All right. So we had a lot of we went on a really high incline, right? Like, it was like, all right, y'all went to school together. All right, girl, let me help you fix this. Like, I can hire some people. You know what? Just move to Atlanta. You come here, like, let's get on the ground. I mean, you was in her wedding. Like it was like, okay, kumbaya. And then it was just like, that's like static, and then the TV just die.
Oh,
right. The TV just like, what's wrong with TV? The remote ain't working.
Cody,
right?
You're aging yourself. Yeah. The TV, the static box TV.
Look, Unc had it took me a while to realize I'm Unc now, but Unc here.
Yes.
Unc here, right? So, obviously, we're in a great place right now.
I'm cry if somebody call me auntie.
She an auntie?
I am definitely.
I ain't there yet. I haven't reached my auntie era. I don't think.
How late? What's the latest you willing to go? Like, if you and Lance finna go out, what's the latest you like? I'm not leaving the house after this time. Like, it's a wrap.
9.
Auntie, let me tell you something.
Auntie.
Let me tell you something. You already there, baby.
Right.
You
Yeah,
already
like
there,
I can't even go see a movie after 9 o'clock. It's over with.
Man, we went and saw Mission Impossible 3 a couple weeks ago, and it was the most grueling. Because the movie 3 hours long, and we went at like 8. And by like 10:20, like we all just on the road, like tapping each other.
Yeah,
and the ride home felt so. You remember the ride home we was coming back? Long. It was the longest. Like it was like terrible.
Well, I might be an auntie.
Welcome to the team. Welcome. The first step is acceptance. You got to accept. All right. So, but then we can't. Obviously, we don't work together in that same capacity anymore. So, what lessons came from working with one another, and then what advice would you give to other people who are pursuing business opportunities with friends? Like, are there boundaries that need to be in place? Like, how do you differentiate the two, and what advice would you give other people?
Have you been completely isolating yourself in business? Like you don't have people that you could do this business with. Well, you need coworkers, and that is why we created the Entrepreneurs Coworkers Community. This allows you to be able to develop relationships with other people in your community. So in the Entrepreneurship Coworkers Community, we have a complete Slack channel where you get to talk to other CEOs just like you. We give you a quiz to find out who you are and what type of CEO you are. And in this quiz, you get to meet other CEOs that may be more creative or traditional or hybrid. We have these CEOs there for you. But even taking it up a notch, we have local chapters in your city, from Atlanta to Dallas to New York to Houston to Chicago, chapters in your city where we're actually linking up every single month to work together, linking up to go to brunch together, having fun together, doing community service outreach. Like this is a section of our life where we can really co-work and mingle with other people. It's time for you to get some coworkers, sis. And this community is completely free. Just because you're watching this podcast, all you have to do is stop, pause the podcast, click the link below, take the assessment, get in the community, and I'll see you there. Bye, coworker. Back to the episode. I think during that season, like so much, like to set the tone, 2020, we had grew so fast. We went from $168,000 to $1.1 million with 2 team members. And they both left at the same time. Like they was like, we tired, we out. And I'm like, Khadijah, we need people. You know what I'm saying? And so we started to find people out of desperation versus like these are the true candidates. And so when we went into 2021, we really had this team. I didn't really have time to train them, but by the time we hired them, it was Q4.
Yeah.
And so we're going into Black Friday. We launching our new planners, all the things. But then by the top of the year, I think we had to hire a whole new team. So it was like we were hiring in waves almost. Yeah. It was like we was dropping. I don't know if you ever. This kind of controversial. But anyways, it's like kind of we was just dropping people off. Yeah. in the business. And so, but me and Khadijah, we like she had moved to Atlanta at this point. She was literally traveling all the time. And so we had this friendship that, she was here. And I think I didn't really, first of all, I don't have a lot of friends. I'm gonna say that for me. Like I'm a boys girl. Like all my friends is niggas. Like like they don't have emotions. I could be like, nigga, shut the fuck up talking to me. Like, and Cody just be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I was raised. And so developing, not only am I developing as a CEO, I'm developing as a woman. I'm developing as a friend. I'm developing as a girlfriend. Me and my boyfriend was going through stuff. So it was a lot kind of happening in that time frame. And by the end of the year, we had just hit this kind of almost like I don't know what they say when the cap bursts. Like it was just like a lot just spilling over. People were upset. The team was upset. And I experienced a detrimental situation where I had a miscarriage. And I was just like, everybody could go. You, your mama, your cousins, like everybody get their shit and get out.
That was when you fired me before you.
That was after I fired you.
Oh, okay. So,
that was a hard situation because this is my friend, and now I don't want anything to do with anybody. And so I feel like afterwards through therapy, and I was able to kind of learn who I was as a CEO, what I needed to have, and how to communicate better. I think the core thing that I learned through the entire situation was the art of communication. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just to be able to talk, but not also talk, but understand. I think I come from a more understanding place now. Like I'm just Like, I can see your point. I don't have to agree with your point.
Right.
But I can see where you talking about. At that point in time, it's like, nah, you don't see what I'm talking about? Like, what is we talking about? So that I think was the biggest lesson for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think when I look back on that time, number one, hindsight is something funny, right? Because I don't think you even knew at that time what do I need? Mm-hmm. I mean, and then you're processing all these new feelings, to your point, and then you're being hit left and right, you know, in all aspects of life, personal and professional. I think for me, there was a lot of self-discovery, you know, after that transition out. I think the one thing that I did do well was like letting you know when I gotta bow out, like, because it'll get progressively worse if I stay. If I'm no longer serving you, and not even really just you, but the company as a whole, it would be selfish of me to try to, like, you know, stay here and make it is what it ain't, you know, things like that. So I think for me, if I had to give advice to people, because I think it can work. I think you can work with a friend. Yeah. But I think you have to be very clear on what exactly your role is. How am I expected to contribute? I don't even know if our issues, I think, when I was working with you were due to our friendship. I think we were two babies trying to run a multi-million-dollar company. Yes. Neither one of us were qualified at the time.
Knew what to do, right?
As much as we thought we were. Yeah. I know I was coming out of corporate trying to make the things that worked in corporate work in this environment, and it doesn't work. Right. I credit that experience to my success now because I've seen it. I've been through it. I've lived it. So now I can walk confidently in a room with people who are in very similar phases of business and say, nope, it's not going to work like that. And it's not black and white. We got to learn how to play in the gray. Yeah. But I think we were just babies trying to, you know, handle such a huge amount of responsibility. And I don't think there's any business out there that hasn't gone through a period of what Rare Necessity went through at that time. I
think a lot of it also was, I feel like as the CEO, regardless of, you know, this is my friend, this is like, we was just like, I was like, this my CEO, oh, this my business business, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like, regardless of you being connected to me, I still had to have the vision. Right. And because my vision was blurry, I couldn't lead the company.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I want CEOs to take away from that. Like, what I feel like I learned now is that, one, I don't move without talking to God. So I don't, like, I will tell Mia, like, girl, we waiting on Jesus. We gonna wait on the main line until it comes, right? But like, you can't move because it was so much that we just didn't know. And we were trying to just throw stuff at the wall to figure it out. And I think a lot of times that was where I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tell clients now, you still have to provide a roadmap. You still have to provide vision. And you can work with your operator to come up with, like, what does that look like? How do we get there? What are these milestones? How do we know when we made it? How can we check our progress? But you can't just expect people to be in your head or live in your head. I mean, this is, at the end of the day, this is your company. You get lucky if you find someone where you can say one or two words about an idea that you had and they can bring that to life. But I also think that comes with having a deep understanding of your business model. It's a lot of people out here running business that can't even tell you how they do it. Like, I know what you do, but how do you do it? How do you get your product into your customers' hands? What does that look like from start to finish? If you're a service provider, how do you actually deliver? What happens first? What happens third, right? And that really flows in being able to create an infrastructure that your team can work up off of. But if you're not exactly sure how you even do what you do, you're not going to be able to lead anybody. All you know is you sell shirts. Right. You have no idea about what type of market you want to enter into. You don't know anything about fabrics, vendors, who you want to order from. You don't know how to mass produce. You haven't studied your demographic. You don't know any of that, but you got people in here working up under you.
Facts.
So I think a big part is really understanding like, and at the time you knew what you wanted to teach. I think you had that download. You had a vision for it. You wanted that to look like. But I think we went through a series of how do we package up this knowledge and actually get it out there? Is it through this program? Is it through that program? Is it through this physical product? Is it through this challenge? X, Y. We were really experimenting with a model that was gonna work.
And the thing, you know what was crazy? I look back at it. Because our business has changed for like over the last 3 years. The last 2 years have been more consistent. But like every year it worked. Yeah. Every year we made $1 million. Like the first year, 2020, we sold ebooks every month, a new product, a new program, whatever. In 2021, we narrowed down to 4 core programs. We brought coaches in, like all of that.
Brought Kody in and
oh my God.
That's for
and we did that. We made $2 million that year. You know what I'm saying? The next year we changed it. We made more millions of dollars that year. You know what I'm saying? So it all worked. I think you as a CEO have to stick to something. Yes. Like you got to make the decision and ride the decision. You know what I'm saying? Because if I would have stuck, I just think about that. I was like, if I would have just stuck to my reoccurring membership, I would be so rich right now, right? But like you just got to stick to something. And I want people to know that.
Yeah, I would say for sure. And I think the biggest thing is like, you know, you can keep like, do you want to kill yourself for that $1 million? Right? Like there's easier ways to get to the $1 million. Yeah. And I always give Raising Cane's as an example. Yes. We love we love Raising Cane's.
The sauce is good.
But they are the fastest growing, research suggests that they are the fastest growing fast food chain in the United States right now. They sell chicken tenders and fries.
Chicken,
like that's it. It's not an overly complicated menu. Yeah. They literally found their thing and they excelled on their thing, right? They got their secret sauce. They figured out how they can do it and do it well and scale on that. And so where I'm going with it, I always tell people you can switch, you can change, you can rearrange, right? But you're going to kill yourself getting to those millions. What's the one thing you can streamline to where you're not a slave to your business? Right? That you can actually teach someone or create a system to where the business operates without you. And if every year you got a new model, a new wave, you're never going to gain the consistency to get a team that will come up under you. You see, you got to be real careful about, I think in pursuit of trying to bring in new revenue, we end up starting new businesses. And it's a difference from increasing like the ways we bring in money versus starting an entire new operation. Right. And I love my little fast food, like, you know, examples, but think about it. When Chipotle, and I love Chipotle, when they introduce a new menu concept, it's going to be with the same ingredients they already got. Facts. What Chipotle look like trying to do burgers? Right. Now they might have to get new equipment because maybe our equipment don't make the burgers, right? Now we got to get a new supplier. Now we got to train people because they only know how to make tacos and burritos. Now we got to go find people, right? And does that actually make sense? Right. For our business model? Now I'm starting a whole new business, really. Right. And that may be an extreme of an example, but I think in efforts to generate revenue or to get to the bag, we end up starting a whole new business, not really thinking about how that's going to impact our team and our capacity and our resources. Yes.
Dope. So why y'all stop being friends when y'all start working together? I would joke.
Kody, you want to ask the hard question.
That thought had just popped in my head. I was just like, why they, okay.
I don't even think that it was ever, I mean, at least I never felt like it was any like bad blood or anything. It was just such a, I know, you know, you had personal things going on at that time. And I think for me, maturity has taught me like when someone is going through something, it's not always about you. So you need to step back and, you know, say, let them go let them do what they're doing. Let them go through what they're going through. And if it's meant to be, then the opportunity for you to have that conversation will come back up. I don't feel like we ever really had an in-depth conversation. It was just kind of like, hey, girl, we had a few, you know, exchanged a few messages. I think we both really owned, you know, our individual contributions to the situation. And that was it. You know, it wasn't really, we just needed time, I think.
I think time does heal all. Yeah. Like, I think us putting more space between, because it was like, sometimes when you in it, you feel like what you got is right. You like, no, I was wrong. No, she thinks she wrong. How dare you know what I'm saying? Like you kind of feel what you feel. You know what I'm saying? And I think we just needed a little bit more space to be able to heal, grow up, see some things, you know, and be able to now have a conversation. Because we text and we was just like, hey, man, like, we ain't, what is we beefing for? You know what I'm saying? Like, why we not talking? Like, this was somebody I talk to every single day. You know what I'm saying? Her mama called me like, I don't know what y'all need to do.
She really did. She was like, y'all have to, what she was coming down here or something like that. And she was like, y'all got 30 days till I get that later. Or I'm calling Sharon. Like,
yes, my mama.
Like, real, she was like, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Okay.
Let me fast.
We kind of got summons, like, figure it out.
She was like, we got a juicy crab regimen, so y'all need to figure it out. But I think it's just a lot of times it boils down to what I said at first, communication. Like afterwards, one, we didn't immediately communicate. We didn't immediately like sit down, have a conversation, and be like, this is what I feel. And then it's also the empathy of, I don't have to agree to understand.
Right.
You don't have to agree to understand. Like, I can understand how you feel and be like, well, in that moment, this is how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just had to have a little bit more space. And I think that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I have to tell my friends, like, in this season, I might not be the friend for you right now. You know, but I love you and we're going to come back. You know what I'm saying?
And you got to know when, because I think there was at one point, y'all, Monrae acted a fool one day. We were at a retreat.
Probably. Oh,
yes. Cut up bad. Cut up real bad.
Play the clips, Dix. He might actually have some.
There is footage, guys.
Cut up so bad. Like, I can't really remember all the details.
I don't remember that.
She was so mad.
Yes.
And so I think you gotta know when to push and when to step back.
This how I know Khadijah was my friend.
And she was like pushing everybody away. Everybody get out. Like, she's like, I'm not going. Like, she was really upset. And I remember telling her, I was like, no, I'm not leaving. That's what you want people to do when you get mad. Like, I'm going to sit out here right outside this door till you come outside. Because it's easy for you to go in there and open that laptop and get to, like, no. Yes. Like, you push people away when you get upset. And so I'm going to let you have your little 10 minutes. But I'm going to sit out here. And when you're ready to come out and be a big girl, like, I'm going to be standing right here. But I'm not leaving. So do whatever you got to do with that information. I'm not leaving. And I think she came out like maybe 30 minutes later. She didn't say that, but she sat on the couch. It was like, okay. So I bring that up because I think you have to know when we went through what we went through right before the separation, that wasn't a time to be like, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna sit in your face. I don't think that was a time. I think it was a lot of self-discovery. And I honestly am grateful for what happened now.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't think I would have discovered my own wings to fly.
Right.
Like, there was a safety net in working with you. Like, I dibble dabble, like, oh, I got a few clients. It was cute to say I had a few clients, right? But I wasn't really doing business like I thought I was doing, you know, at the time. But I know that my calling now required that. Because I don't know, I probably still be right here, you know, doing the same thing had I not been pushed out in that type of way. But in the same breath, there were things you had to discover to be who you are now. So I think it was very necessary what we went through.
It was. I think it was definitely necessary. And it's so funny because while you were saying that story, Eric, my boyfriend's over there testifying like, yes, girl, yes. But I think like that was the first time I felt like nobody left me. Like, and that was kind of like
you want to cry on the podcast? Because I will.
But that was, I don't know, like hindsight, that was a big moment for me because I remember being in that room because I was mad. It was about business stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think we had just got off the phone with the current COO at the time and something wasn't done. And she quit.
Yeah, it was that. And then like you had, you know, put a lot of effort into we were at basically a company retreat, and I think the team at the time was just not very grateful.
Yeah.
And it hurts when you think you're doing something for someone and they like are not appreciative. So I think what happened kind of was just the tip of the iceberg.
Much. Yeah, like it was just too much. Because as a CEO, you feel like you're supposed to have all the answers. And I just had my second in command quit But the reason she quit was because she couldn't be there, you know what I'm saying, in the space. And then my team...
Which was not our fault, by the way.
No, it wasn't our fault. But it was like she couldn't be there in the space. And then our team is acting like some fucking brats.
Yeah.
And we just brought them... We done paid this money to bring them on the tree, bring a private shelf, take them to places. And they like, we got to be here. So like, I was hurt. You know what I'm saying? And... it was just too much going on. They wanted to go. So I was like, no, y'all could go. Yeah. And for Khadijah to not go on the excursion with them and stay, and I walk outside and she just sitting on the couch looking at me. And I'm just like,
I'm not leaving.
Yes. And I just sat on the couch and I was like, dang, you know, like most people would have just been like, okay, girl, you can handle your feelings. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I think, and this is just a friendship lesson, you got to know when to push back and when to like really let them handle their feelings. So I think that showed me that you don't have to push people away when they hurt you or you feel hurt or you feel emotions.
Yeah. And just, you know, I think providing space to as friends, if you work with a friend in business, you have to figure out how to provide space for one another, to talk to each other about the hard stuff. I think at the time there was ways that you probably wanted to give me feedback and criticism on my work, but you didn't really know how to do that without crossing that boundary into like, is my friend going to be offended?
And that's and I think that's the hard part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think you have to find the space to give people feedback. Like people need feedback to know if they're doing good or or if you're not getting feedback from your friend, what I ask is you need to ask. Yeah. Like, you need to ask them and give them the space to tell you truly, because there were times that I wanted to give feedback, but I was just like, I don't want to be mean. Like, I don't know how to. And I didn't want, like, because Khadijah got another side. She got a corporate side. And I can't fight with corporate Khadijah because she come in like, so what are the terms? I'm like, shit, I don't know, bitch, but that didn't work. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like you kind of are scared to have those conversations. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you just have to have a space of transparency and openness with your friends.
I actually don't recommend working with friends. I take that back. I said I'd seen it work, but when people ask me my opinion, I actually don't recommend it. Now, there are situations where I've grown close with clients, but I've made it a point ever since our experience to always keep a boundary. It don't matter how many brunches, lunches, dinners, memes, laughing, we cool. But at the end of the day, I know I never will be put in a position where I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or where I'm not able to receive that feedback because they hired me for something. So I'm not usually a proponent of hiring your friend, but I do think there are situations where you grow really close with. You spend a lot of time with the people you work with, and so you end up developing really close friendships and relationships with them. But as a CEO, you have to remember your job is to lead that person, right? And then if you are the friend, I think you have to remember that when your CEO comes to you, it's business. You got to be able to separate it.
Gotcha. Guys,
So, Cody,
it's so dope.
I'm going to have to let you go.
Again? Like, goddamn. That was my biggest takeaway from this whole interview. It's like, so it's two things, right? Okay. Number one, time heals all.
Yes.
So, ladies, I forgive y'all for terminating.
Oh, my God.
I was harboring that for so long. And this
I'm glad you got the closure you needed.
Yeah, it was healing for me. You know, I think...
We'll be talking about this again in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be back. Ain't the time you fired me? I'm sorry, whispering like I was doing the other day. But, yeah, so, no, I think this is super dope. I think I appreciate the maturity of both of you because it takes a lot. And then also the fact that y'all were able to have real in-depth conversations. Like, we did an interview with Jason, my business partner, and how we got past, like, how we started back talking, I was like, hey, you know you a bitch-ass nigga? And he was like... Yeah, but you a bitch too.
HR on you,
and I was like, yeah,
oh,
and then we were just friends after that. Like, it was fine. Like, we both. That's what was on our heart. Like, you know, you really would act like a bitch, and he was like, no, you was acting like a bitch too. And I'm like, all right, fair. How the kids doing? Like, it's just like that was our whole conversation. It wasn't so I think for you guys to say, hey, this was my part in this was my part in this, but the friendship means more. And then look at y'all thriving and CEOing and shit. I like this.
Yeah. You could have gave me a little more warnings on some of this stuff.
What's next?
I mean, really just continuing to establish my presence as a thought leader in this leadership space. I'm very passionate about talking to CEOs, about at the end, if you don't have good leadership, you have nothing.
Right.
And what leadership looks like, you know, it looks different for everybody, but there are some things that are tried and true. So just speaking more, talking more, being confident enough to say what I have to say, what I have to contribute does matter and is needed. So I think for me, I'm doing the business. I got the business running, but it's just being able to step out and really like contribute in a meaningful way through my voice and what I'm able to share. Okay. That's what's next for me.
All right. And how, like, can anybody work with you? How can people tap in and what you got going on? Is it like, do you got like a set metric? Like you got to be here to work with me?
We do
like...
have some qualifiers.
Okay.
We do have some qualifiers. So the way that we work, we've developed a couple of different packages. We have all the way from our beginners, our starters, up to people who need a little bit more support operationally. Mm-hmm. They can come in and work with us just for a very specific project to establish that infrastructure. I always tell people, once I come in and set it up, you might find that you don't actually need a person. I am not for addressing operational inefficiencies with hiring as the first point, right? Because maybe it's something that we can fix with a system or an automation, right? We run out and hire someone when all we had to do is just fix the system or fix the process. And now you got an inflated payroll budget and people standing around looking at you asking, what do I do? Because it was never a people thing. It was a system thing, right? So I always come in and try to analyze and fix from that point. And then we do have some clients that are just like, I don't want to deal with anything personnel related. So they outsource their HR function of their business to us. So I'm on Instagram, Connect with Khadijah. Or you can find us at atnhrconsulting.com and fill out the form on the bottom of the website, and someone will get back to them back to you as soon as possible.
One thing I love about this is 100%. Like I said, I love the growth. I love the evolution of ATN. But I 100% support everything that you have been able to accomplish over the last few months. I don't know why I'm getting emotional.
If you cry, I'm definitely crying.
Oh my God. Like I got more interviews like makeup, but I support it because I know that it's true because you actually did the work to develop it. And I've seen you be able to help me develop as a CEO, and I've seen you develop yourself, and I know like the clients that you work with as well, and I know that they are in good hands. So y'all hire my girl.
You talking about your makeup. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I know you don't have, you are very select. Y'all, she is very selective with who she shares her platform with. So I am so appreciative to be here, and I hope that someone was able to take something from our conversation.
Yes, absolutely, y'all. And you know, we just had candid conversations about Kody to the couch, because there's a lot of things that go into being a CEO. Not only just running a business, but sometimes you got to run it with friends. You got to build teams, and all of it is ghetto as fuck. Basically. So here we are.
Understatement.
So Kody,
what's up?
What rhyme with CEO?
I think it GAETTO.
See you guys later. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast, and stay tapped in. Bye, y'all.
Invoice in, that ain't ghetto. Money spin, oh, that's ghetto. Hold on, it's kind of ghetto being a CEO.